Welcome everybody to a new episode of the Pondcast. Today's episode, Jump into Paldea Journey. We are going to take a look at some aspects of the video that Nintendo dropped this past week at the time of recording. Joining me today is Jay from the passenger seat.
Yo.
Guren.
Lola.
And I'm your host, Draco. And let's get into it. Instead of going over to the whole trailer the way we normally do, we're going to go ahead and take certain aspects of what we were watching to point out and talk about a little bit. We'll start with glowing Pokemon. I don't know how I feel about them being static, if they're going to be static like that, or if they're actually going to be walking around doing stuff. My personal take on this particular part of the trailer was that it feels too much like a give me, you know? I mean, I get that a lot of the way things operate with what they're pushing is, yeah, look, there's the Pokemon. You can walk right up to it and eventually smack it in the face and start a battle. But at least they're walking around, they're doing something. There's that chance that you may end up tripping over a different Pokemon, not your target. This, with them just kind of standing there, I'm hoping that it does change in the final game and that this is just a rough look where they're just trying to target exactly what it is so that they don't have to worry about chasing after the guy all over the field. But this is to get into a battle with what I'm going to assume a unique terrestrialization Pokemon. Because as they get into the fight, they do show that this Pokemon, first off, starts off terrestrialized. Second of all, it's terrestrialized water typing, which is not one of Clefairy's typings. So what do you guys think about that?
The first thing I'm just going to say is I think I wouldn't look this gift horse in the mouth just because, free Pokemon. I can see what it is. I don't have to think about what it might be. Kind of like how Raid Dens in Gen 8 were right? You usually just get the silhouette. Or you would constantly have to cycle through it to get a different bond. Maybe you will have something similar to that here in Gen 9. Maybe I can save scum this. Maybe it'll be a different terrestrialized typing, or maybe it'll be a different Pokemon entirely. I think that's the thing that I'm more worried about. If it's constantly the same Pokemon that spawns as that shiny overworld thing, over and over again, and it doesn't change, that would be kind of boring. If it's the same one with different Terra typings, okay, I guess that's a little bit more doable. Other than that, yeah, I quite don't see any problems with it besides those reasons.
So my hot take about what we saw in the trailer, I feel like that might just be a tutorial kind of thing. Hey, this is what a terrestrialized Pokemon is. So once you get past that Jigglypuff, I feel like they'll just pop up overworld with that sort of glow, and you'll know okay, well, that's a Pokemon with terrestrialization. That's my take on it. It's just they were just showing you something, but it feels like that's just gonna be to show anyone. You know how they show stuff in the trailer, but they're still gonna show you what it is in the game in the form of oh, hey, this is this. It sort of feels like that.
Okay.
If that's the case, I can accept it. If they're wandering in the overworld, randomly lit up like a shiny, that I'm okay with. It's just if they're just literally just standing there planted, it's that's too much of a handmade. Where's the challenge? They've done so many things that we see in this trailer that really just incorporates other things that this one just kind of feels like a miss if that's the case. But we won't know obviously until releases. And then, of course, they go over some of the Let's Go feature, which I think is kind of cool, where, you just literally send it out, go, let's go, and then you can just turn around, do something else, and there's your Pokemon, just go whap, smack, done, and you get items and experience.
Pretty cool. And it seems pretty quick, too. So.
Yeah. And I think I really do appreciate the aspect of how easy it looks to just toss it out there. And there's something to be said about the level of immersion for that. Because think about it. If you trust your partner Pokemon enough, you could just crack it open, let them out. Go ahead, take care of them while you're focusing on something else. Your partner Pokemon's going to go do its thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of appreciate that. And of course, they go into the Team Star area where they show that function going off, and at one point he's dropping two Pokemon just going, hey, let's go, and they're just doing their thing. But this is also the spot where we see one of 6 unknown Pokemon, and if you look in the back, it looks very similar to a Pokemon that was revealed in the last trailer, but not quite the same shape, size. It may look like a pre-evolution, which is what a lot of people have been speculating, and certain rumor outlets have been denoting as an actual pre-evolution to Armor Rouge.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of a cool thing to note.
Actually, something to be said about that feature where you just let your partner Pokemon out and let them battle. So there's a couple of interesting things that I was sort of thinking about when I saw that. The first thing being, does your Pokemon, the Pokemon that you send out, gain experience individually because you sent them out individually? Or if you have, how the experience share is sort of automatic now, is your whole team going to gain experience by doing that?
From the looks of things, upon defeating, it looked like everyone was getting experience out in the open area when they were just fighting. Like, you see it happen, and then as soon as the Litleo goes away, your entire team got XP for it.
Oh yeah, they are.
Okay, so that's solid, right? Because you said the immersion feeling of free form of not having to. It feels like a real thing. Like you'd set out your different Pokemon to sort of battle, not like a one-on-one thing. It feels like it's a more natural experience. Also, the other thing I was thinking of was what happens, right? And this might be annoying, but then again, we'll have to see how it functions. Same way in Sword and Shield, once you pass a certain point, the overall Pokemon become much stronger. So, what if you're trying to train up your Pokemon? It's like a double-edged sword, right? Because if there's Pokemon in your party that are way under leveled, but you have your lead Pokemon that can take on those battles, that's great because you're going to save a lot of time getting them up in experience, but you might run the risk of accidentally sending out the under-leveled Pokemon and it getting clobbered by an overworld Pokemon because it wasn't ready and you just sent them out willy-nilly. You weren't paying attention, and now you have to go through the process of either going to the Pokemon Center using an item to bring them back up, and that also leads to the to the thought of the whole. Well, it doesn't really matter now because with Gen 8, EV training has sort of become super stupid simple. In the case that, I don't know, somebody was using the power weights or whatever, the power items, if you accidentally battle a Pokemon that you didn't want to battle, sending them out like that.
There was also the comment of sending them out and not paying attention that you might have just battled out a shiny.
Ooh, oh gosh, I hadn't even thought about that. So
yeah.
So wait, remind me, in Gen 8 Overworld, you weren't able to see the Pokemon if they were shiny in the Overworld, right?
Correct, but you could in Pokemon Legends Arceus, which, if I recall correctly, they said that they were indeed working on this game and Pokemon Legends Arceus at the same time. So that's why you're seeing a lot of crossover ideas, but they're not sure exactly what was implemented into Gen 9 that was implemented in Legends Arceus.
Well, yeah. So definitely, like you said, if that's the case and you can actually see shinies in Overworld, you have to pay attention because if not, you're gonna end up. And that's the question. If you send them out, do you have the ability to recall them?
Yeah, it looks like you can.
Well, then that's good. And if you notice something's off, then you could go ahead and recall before anything too crazy happens.
Moving along into the same area, they introduced the Star Car or whatever they're calling it, and the Starmobile, and we see that infamous engine Pokemon. But as the Starmobile is moving forward, we get to see what looks like a pre-evolution to the engine mon on the back wheel, and they just kind of slipped that in there. They didn't bother saying anything to anybody about it. It's just there, quiet and subtle. I don't know. I'm kind of digging this. I can't wait to find out what it is. I'm still thinking that it's going to be Steel Poison, which would be an intriguing combination because we haven't had that combination before. But I'm digging it. I'm all for finding out what exactly this is going to look like in the final form.
Yeah.
I wish it could be the entire car. Can I just have the entire car, please? And then now I can travel and stuff.
So I also want to point out that with every new trailer, the texture work for the characters really starts to shine. I mean, we were at one point debating whether if the markings on Mila were a tattoo or were clothing. And if you're looking at the scene, you can clearly see that is clothing. That is torn up clothing. There's seams, there's zippers, there's texture where there needs to be texture.
That looks like leather or something.
Oh yeah, the boots look great now. The boots look amazing.
Yeah, you know what, Guren? Now that you say that, that you wanted the whole car, it'd be interesting if this Pokemon was, what if the initial base form is the engine, but then it evolves to have a whole car.
Oh, you're thinking kind of like a Magnemite, Magnezone type thing where.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I've not even thought about that. That'd be one of the largest Pokemon we have on data.
And here's the thing. What's her name again? I forget.
Mila.
Mila. So she's she uses fire types. So what if this Pokemon goes from being steel poison to like fire steel or fire poison? Well, fire steel would make more sense because it's still got the engine.
Yeah, it may be.
What if it's like Furfru? You know, like how Furfru you can design what how it
Ooh.
looks, and then in this case you can choose like the car thing. Because if Mila has this red car, right? If we challenge the other Team Star leader people, what if they have like a different colored car, like just based on their typings? You know what I mean? Because red car, I'm assuming because it's she's the fire leader for it. Yeah. What if you can change like the style
Pokemon.
of car? Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. Pokemon Racing confirmed. Pokemon Kart.
Poke Cart.
Let's go.
Moving forward, we have the character going to a green machine where they talk about being able to craft TMs. Now, I'm going to say this, and I don't really, if anybody disagrees with me on this one, this is a very awesome quality of life change that is honestly well past due. However, there's a caveat to this. I like the fact that you can go out, find items to buy, to farm out, so that you can go in and craft these TMs that are obviously going to be one-time use, but you don't have to go find them in the overworld. If you find them in the overworld, that's great, but the fact that you can craft them as well is even better, because this is going to make looking for them a lot easier. However, the caveat to this is that I don't want to see a game where I'm sitting there grinding, battling the same Pokemon over and over and over and over again, hoping for one item to drop. If the drop rates happen with every battle, that's awesome, but that can also be a little too much. But of course, there's league points, which I think you can sell items to get those league points. I saw on the online. My big concern is that it's going to become too grindy at that point just to get some stuff.
Okay, but what if, and correct me because I can't remember, Gen 8, when you use a TM, it was one-time use, or was it like infinite use like one of the older generations?
Nope, it was one-time use again.
So what if you just craft it and now it's it's infinite use?
Then you're going to have a surplus of items after a while.
Look, wait, wasn't the Gen 8 TMs permanent, and then the TRs were the ones that were one-time uses? Like,
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But it looks like here you actually have to find them, because if you look at the numbers, it goes 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 16. So it looks like you do have to find them, and then once you find them, you can use items to grind to craft them over and over again.
That, or hopefully it's one of those you get enough items, then they'll unlock on your list, maybe? Like, that would also be cool.
They did show you finding a TM.
Oh, okay.
So that's my one concern, is they're going to turn this game into a grind fest. However, the fact that you can just go to a machine and craft what you need as you need it, as opposed to going to hunt down a guy who sells it, and he has to be at the right day, or you have to go check another dude somewhere else, and then someone else just trying to find it, that I can see that was extraordinarily tedious. So having the machines right there in front of you is going to cut down on the grind a little bit. I just hope that, again, finding items doesn't become a chore. Then they discuss one of the aspects of the games, then trading, and then they go into Giraffe Rig. And of course, there's a lot of love for this little Pokemon. It looks cute. It goes into the evolution scene where it just becomes Rigoraph. Thank you for Rigoraph. And this was a Pokemon that was leaked a few months ago, but it was kept under rumors only because there was no information about it. But now that it is out, I think it's really cool. It has some really unique abilities like Cud Chew, where it allows you to use a berry that you've already eaten at the end of the following turn a second time. Or its other ability is called Armor Tail, which prevents any priority moves. And this one for me is absolutely huge, because you're now negating anything with a priority move. So moves like Protect, I believe, is a priority move. And it says it makes opponents' Pokemon unable to use those moves. So you've got a list of priority moves, but then you've got abilities that make moves priority, like Prankster, Gale Wind. I'm on the side of the grass here where it's going to affect those abilities, because it works again. I think it's going to be working the same way as Psychic terrain, and psychic terrain does affect abilities or moves affected by abilities such as Gale Wind and Prankster. It won't let them work. So I think Armor Tail is going to do the exact same thing. It's going to prevent anything with a priority from working, even if it's off of an ability.
I'm just hoping it does work that way, and not like only if it's targeting the fur giraffe.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see what its moveset is and see what can be, the options you're going to have, because it seems like a very interesting Pokemon.
It better get Brutal Swing. With that info that they put on the site, it better get Brutal Swing. Just cause.
Considering that it's a normal psychic, that's just insult. But moving into the section of the video where we go to Artisan, if you were paying attention on the English trailer, on the map, you will find Pokemon showing. And you can tell they're Pokemon because there's a Rookity in there as well. But there are 2 mice Pokemon, which are different. One has a dark silhouette in the chest area. The other one has a dark silhouette by the legs area. There's a green parrot and what looks like an escapee from a Mario game.
Yeah, I did not notice that on the mice. Are you like, I'm looking at it now and I'm like, there's like a little darkened spot over there on the chest and one on the legs. I didn't even notice that.
At first, I thought it was a Chinchino. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Me too.
But no. These are 3 more hidden Pokemon that appeared, and they only appeared on this version of the trailer. They did not appear on the Japanese trailer, apparently. But the rumor is that this is our green parrot Pokemon, obviously. There's a pair of mice Pokemon that are actually together. They're as one, like Phalanxes. And when they evolve, they start to multiply. And the last one that, to me, looks like, Mushroom Kingdom Reject is our Salt Pokemon.
See, I didn't even think about that when I saw it. I was like, oh, it's a mushroom house. Like, that's the first thing I thought of when I finally saw that. And then
Played way too many Mario games.
like, it makes sense, right? They had that Mario movie trailer like sometime afterwards on the same day, right? Totally a shout out to that.
Easter egg.
Subarashi actually did some really nice artwork for this.
You know what? All that being said, now that you said that the Japanese trailer they didn't show up, somebody dropped the ball.
That's what some of us are thinking, because the other aspect is that there are some portions of the English trailers that look rough. And as I play the video, you're going to see the windmill in the background. You're going to see Sunflora moving around. And they are extremely choppy.
Ew.
Yeah.
They are really choppy.
I saw it. I noticed it in the trailer when I was seeing it.
Yeah. However, when you compare it to the Japanese trailer has the exact same scenes, but they're running much smoother. So the dialogue that's going around now is either this was purposely done so that the US had a little something extra hidden in it, or that the footage used for the English trailer was not the same footage used for the Japanese trailer because someone screwed up. Because again, they look very choppy, and it's just a thought to be put out there, just so that our viewers can understand why we're pointing some of this stuff out.
Pokegame.
We get to see some aspects of character personalization, so you can personalize your hair, you can personalize your eyes, and I mean, it's limited as it is, but at least they gave you something. And then they get into selfie mode, where you can take pictures via your cell phone and actually pull it as a selfie, which is kind of neat. However, this is where they show our 6th and final hidden Pokemon. In the part where they're showing off, they go from the cityscape to the beach, and you see Grafaiai in the background. The moment it switches to the Arctic area, if you look behind the menu for the camera controls, there is a Pokemon that is moving back there that is unlike any Pokemon we have seen yet. It is brief, but it is there. But I think the selfie mode is kind of a cool thing, and you can see, I mean, they're really getting into this whole just do whatever you want type aspect. And obviously, there are a couple of things that they started to show. So you can set this up as your profile picture, and it shows your stats. How many badges do you have? What's your Paldea dex looks like? What's your shiny battles? How many have you battled that were shiny? Recipes collected, total playtime. And I think this is really cool. Just cute little profile card. I think it's great.
I know one person's gonna have quite the pretty number on their shiny Pokemon battle.
And then and then we get to picnics, very similar to the campgrounds, but it looks like they've also fused Pokemon Ami with it as well, where you can clean off your Pokemon. And I feel that this is a great way to bolster your friendships, which we all seen the mechanics that they've put in. Friendships do play a very important part in your battles.
Oh yeah.
You can customize the linen that they use for your picnic area, and apparently this is where you also find eggs. I don't know exactly how the breeding aspect's going to work or if it's going to change, but it's something to note that this may be a thing moving forward. And then, of course, we get to the Subway simulator. What it's like to work for Subway, where you pick and choose your items to build a sandwich, and it looks like you have 10 minutes to choose what items to use. I'm going to assume based on what you've been able to find as far as ingredients go, and you have to manually build this thing, which is crazy.
Somebody from Subway is going to be very annoyed, very offended with this.
And of course, like the curry game, you get rated on there. But if you catch the top corner real quick,
yes,
it boosts different things about the game. Your raid power, your encounter power, and your catching power. And it does more than just say, oh, this is boosted slightly. There are levels involved, apparently.
Oh, that is so good.
So this is also a game changer. This is one of the things I was talking about, where they've incorporated an aspect for the game that I do appreciate. This is going to affect different aspects of the game simultaneously. There's an incentive for me to actually do picnics now, whereas before it didn't. And if I have to go looking for ingredients, that's the incentive I need to go and battle a bunch of Pokemon or go to different locations to harvest the things that I need so that I can get these sandwiches to bolster my encounter rates if I'm trying to collect my decks, I think this is brilliant, but again, it comes with that caveat of how difficult did you make the grind? If the grind is too difficult, it's going to be a turn-off. And there's already a lot of things that are requiring you to go looking for items. So it's just a word of warning.
I'm pretty sure some people have already thought about this, but where did the ham come from?
Lechonk! No!
Right.
Oh.
Then they finish off with some raid battles where, again, there's a timer involved. It's no longer turn-based. It's as soon as your Pokemon can act again, you can act again regardless of what your other players are doing, which is honestly something that was needed because one person holding up the entire fight was insane.
Yeah.
And the fact that it no longer looks like it counts against you for losing your Pokemon is another quality of life change that I'm glad to see, because that was really irritating.
Yeah.
A team wipe and then all of a sudden that's it, your chance is done, whereas you can keep going just as long as you can take down the Pokemon within the time limit, which I think a time limit works so much better.
I agree.
One of the things that I did want to point out was, again, with the textures, look at the Pokeball that they use. It's a heal ball, but you can see a line that cuts into the ball itself where the pink meets the white, and it does give that nice level of depth.
Yeah, like you kind of can feel what the texture would be like holding that ball, right?
And so, of course, they end the video showing off talking about the different things that you can do in this game. And it's really shaping out, personally, to be a really solid game. There are still things I still want to know, personally, because of the way I like to play. I like to know how breeding works. Did they bring back a lot of the stuff that they did for Sword and Shield back into Scarlet and Violet? Because, to be honest, that was a wonderful quality of life change that we really needed for the breeding aspects. Did they keep the same things with training? Because as ridiculous as the XP items were for your Pokemon, getting them, it really bolstered people wanting to play competitive because they didn't have to grind so hard for it.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I just want to put out, I was kind of hoping that, because of, how close the game release is, I was kind of hoping, now would be a very good time for, the Pokemon Company to start releasing, trailers. Even if it's, I want them, to do one per week now until release, and they could even do it where it's it's just one new Pokemon, a short 1 to 2 minute trailer of a brand new Pokemon, or some character introductions again, or something like that, right? I would love to have that, and then, just top it off with the final trailer just being maybe the starter evolutions, their full stages kind of thing, and then the week after that, just the game release week. That's it. That's what I would love for them to do, but of course, that's only here's to me hoping. So.
Joe?
Hey, where's my Tauros? Damn it! I'm still waiting for it.
I cannot stress enough how excited I am for this game to drop. I don't know. I mean, I like the way they've been keeping most of the things under wrap. If the Pokemon that were quote unquote not leaked, but like sort of, if it was a fumble on the end of, Pokemon International over here in the US, then okay. But I really like that they're taking their time, their pace, and they're really building that sort of anticipation for when the game comes out.
Like what they're doing. I like the fact that they've taken the time to go ahead and finally start doing all sorts of new stuff as far as showing off the game, showing off some of the aspects of what we can do. I honestly wish they piecemealed this out a little bit better, because the drought from Pokemon Day to June was just painful. And then we started getting stuff in June, then we got something in July. Now it seems like we're getting something a little more regular, which is fine and all, and I'm okay with. It's just that I kind of want to see a little bit more paced out with maybe some not as much content. But I'm glad that we finally got this. We got to see something new. We got to get an overview of a lot of things that they've changed, which is really nice. And with that, everyone, brings our episode to a close. What are your thoughts about that Pokemon trailer? Let us know down below. Also, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see in future episodes. And as always, thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.